All right. Jason, I appreciate you sitting and talking with me today. Uh, uh, Jason Raznick, Chief Zinger and founder of Benzinga. Um, and the reason I thought it'd be so relevant to chat today is content is so important right now. And you guys I just want to tell everybody just a little bit about you real quickly as we get started. You're the founder of Benzinga, a content ecosystem that makes information easier to consume. And right now, I think it's so important not only to have content, but in order to make it consumable. Your mission as a company is to connect the world with news, data, and education that makes the path to financial prosperity easier for everyone every single day. And you reach over 25 million readers in over 125 countries every single month. And so with all of that content, can you just talk a little bit about just the importance of real time, almost ahead of real time content that you're providing and just the importance of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, thanks for having me on. There's
thanks for being here.
Yep, there's a lot of noise from the media world. I mean, you don't know what side the media is on when they're telling a story. We strive to just tell the facts, and we believe that we give information and then give options. So if we're reading a story about Apple, maybe you want to go bullish on it. So we say, here's some ways you can look at trading it or invest in it. There's long articles, a lot of places. We try to give smart brevity with the information you need right away without the BS and the fluff. And we believe by doing that, people will start to recognize Benzinga as a place to come to get quick information. Why is Tesla moving? Why is Nike moving? Why is this happening? And you get the quick information right away every time. So there's not like reporter bias. Now, if there's a story that says, buy this stock right away, it's noted. This is, how it is. But we delineate that. And so there's so much noise from everywhere, from Twitter to, wherever you go, there's noise. What we do, we assemble that noise and try to make it smart and aggregate it. And then we also produce original content to add value, to give someone more utility in a shorter amount of time. So we believe if we can give people more utility in a shorter amount of time, then we can win. I mean, that's kind of how we play the game.
Yeah, I love that element. I just want to kind of dive a little bit into it quick, because one of the things I love about all your readings is it tells you actually how many minutes it'll take to read the article.
And yeah, I mean, and that's on mobile. You want to know when you're going to go start something, what kind of time you have to invest in it. I mean, what kind of commitment do you have to go take, to read this article? Or what kind of commitment does it take to go spend the time to find this information out? The more we can give out right away, I think the more value we can offer to a user. So I mean, the one cool thing is, I guess, people are reading content 10 to 20x what they used to because of the invention of the mobile phone, and it's at your fingertips and there's so much information. So we have more readers, but you have to delight them and be brief and be smart, with the content you're providing. So it's hard. It's hard to be concise and to use less words. It's not an easy thing, because sometimes you want to give because people may want more of the story, so you may want to know about a company and how they got started, and you want to hear it more. So there's a balance, but I think it also comes in organization, how you organize a story.
Yeah. What's the shelf life of a story today? I mean, with so much content being pushed out, not only by Benzinga, but just in general, what is the shelf life? If somebody sees, an article, is it good for a day, 2 days, 5 minutes?
It depends on the type. So there's two things. There's evergreen articles and then newsworthy articles. So articles about, for example, today, what's it called? One of the casino stocks, Penn National, had an equity offering. That article, the shelf life on that is short. It's same day, maybe the next day or two, but it's short. It's same day. Sometimes it's even hours. Longer stories that have a shelf life we have a story about how can you invest in a bear market? So say you want to hedge your positions, you think it's gonna be a bear market, or how can you short the market? That kind of story can live on forever for a long time. We have to update it, but it's valuable to the reader because they may, want to figure out how do they hedge their position. So there's a balance between what we call evergreen, like an evergreen tree, it stays for a long time, and the short stories that are huge one day and then maybe fade away the next day.
Yeah.
And we've had stories get 3 million views to stories that get 1,000 views.
When I was in college, I wanted to go into TV journalism, and I worked at Channel 7 at the assignment desk.
You did?
For a year, and it was great. It was one of the most exciting things ever. I loved it. But I sat there at a front row seat to them figuring out what story was a story, what to pitch. What was the most relevant for the day. And so at Benzinga, how do you figure out what is the most relevant to your 125 million people of what they want to read?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that we look at. There's some stuff that we just know that we need to cover. We have a lot of licensing partners. So we're the biggest vendor of financial news to the North American brokerage space. So we have to cover, if there's unemployment numbers or an interest rate cut, we have to cover that. We have to cover it for our licensing partners. There's other stories that we're looking at. Hey, what's interesting? What's interesting to the average person? I mean, Elon Musk, always has something interesting. So, we look at that. We also can pay attention to Google Trends to see what people are searching, what people are looking up. We at Benzinga, the thing we try to do is inform, educate. So when someone reads an article, they feel educated, they learn something, or inspire. So inspire is, you could read an inspirational story, how someone created a company or how someone solved a problem, etc. So either inform, educate, or inspire. So inform, give the facts. Educate, what you can learn from it and be better. Inspire is like, people leave inspired and say, hey, I can go do this or go do that. So it needs to follow one of those three characteristics usually. And then there's stuff that just piques people's interest that, hey, we should, we think it'll be helpful to investors. I mean, investors a lot of times want trade ideas, investing ideas. They want to know what they can do in the future. They want to know about opportunities. We do a lot of personal finance content now. So we'll do stories like, 5 things you should do when you set up a 401k, or if you have $1,000 to invest, here are 4 popular things to do depending on your age. Kind of content like that people can recognize with or see themselves in that same situation. That's the most important thing. When someone's coming to your site, you want them to read the article, but then have relevant articles right around it that is, that relates to their life and where they're at. So it's more of a personalization thing that we're trying to get into, versus just hitting them with everything they want to know about Nike.
Yeah. How do you guys use artificial, or are you using any type of artificial intelligence? I think it's wild today. I mean, I was talking to my wife and my daughter the other day about something, and then literally I opened up my Facebook and it was right on just from me speaking it on my phone. And so I'm amazed by artificial intelligence consistently. But how are you guys? Are you using that in a way?
No, I mean, it's crazy when you like run into someone and maybe you texted them, then the next day Facebook says, hey, you should connect with this person. That one is strange. Even if you don't text them, somehow Facebook knows that you were in the vicinity of this person for like 4 minutes, and so maybe you want to meet them. So we use artificial intelligence a little bit in the sense of we're looking at past company data and what does it mean for the future. So we're looking at earnings from companies, a lot of data-driven articles that we do. So we write the articles, but there's some automation involved too, that we're looking at what happened in the past and then what could be a predictor of this in the future. So that's where AI type stuff comes in. So it's like, most likely this will happen. If the last 16 times that Tesla reported earnings, it did this, most likely this will happen. So it's more of the probabilities, and then like natural language processing, NLP, where we're looking at different words, how they can be used inside of an article. So we do a lot of human, with real people writing the articles, but there's also better stuff you can do with automation if you look at the past and use that as a guide for the future.
So during COVID, I would imagine that there's a lot more people wanting to read, wanting to do, how have you guys been servicing everybody during this time, as we're sitting here in May, during 2020 through COVID?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more people at home looking at articles, reading content. I mean, there's no doubt in that. I mean, it's traffic is at record levels for most financial sites. I would say, I mean, record levels. Ours is, we're a top 100 financial site now in the U.S. So we're seeing a lot of traffic with that. The way that we're treated differently, it's kind of like how a lot of people are. It's Groundhog Day. Every day just seems like it's the same day. So we're covering content on the weekends now. We're doing longer hours. We're covering more government related stuff. We're giving more updates on COVID and companies affected by it. There's a lot. So cryptocurrency was a big thing a while ago where so many of these small public companies added crypto to their name of their company, and then their valuation went up like 100x. So you get a lot of these companies that aren't real that are putting, hey, we're a coronavirus play, and they're not. So we're doing a lot more informing and protecting investors so they understand, what's real out there. So there's a lot of opportunities in the coronavirus area where you can invest.
Yeah.
And we're doing a lot of that coverage for investors.
You guys do an amazing job providing content and building content, and then it's the everyone else's responsibility to actually read it and do something with it. I'm sure I remember a long time ago I heard a stat that the average person reads about maybe 8 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day, and so what should somebody commit to on a daily basis of actually taking time, carving it out, and actually reading and educating themselves?
Yeah. So, so your question is 8 minutes a day, and what should someone commit to every day, educate themselves on, basically, in the market?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, there's so much content out there, but sometimes people, you have to really make an effort to say, hey, I'm going to learn.
Yep.
I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day, right? When I'm coaching people, it's like,
Totally.
You take things in small chunks, but you can't just let everything walk by you. You got to actually make the effort.
No, totally. I mean, because if you just read the news and you don't educate yourself on like history and things that you can take advantage of with the news, then you're really just on that proverbial wheel, like you're just
Right.
And so you want to educate yourself on what others have done in the past. So the things that we look at a lot is history and how others take advantage of it. So there's various, if you're talking just investing, there's very successful investors from, Warren Buffett to Benjamin Graham. And one of the things we highlight a lot is Warren Buffett. We read his investment letters, read the books about him, because the way he looks at companies is so different than the average person. When you invest in a stock, you're really investing in a company. So you're making a bet on its future, and you can hold forever or not. So I think there's a balance to reading about news and stocks, but there's also a balance to read about, the strategies behind it. And then also, personal betterment. I mean, there's a ton of stuff where you can be reading, learning tricks to do that you didn't think of that others have done, or, just life stories and seeing how this person was successful. I mean, companies aren't just created out of the wind. They're created by a team of people marching the same way, and hopefully that they get through the obstacles and overcome them. I mean, everyone was a contender at one point, and then they became a champion, right? So if they did, and so you can't just read stock market. You gotta learn to build the fundamental discipline in your own life, because if you just do it in the stock market can be an accepted form of adult socialized gambling if you don't put discipline around it.
Yeah, well said. Jason, I want to talk to you about being a business owner during COVID and working remotely and managing your team. How's that going with you and the Benzinga team?
I mean, it's definitely different. It's definitely different in a big way. Before, we have our headquarters in downtown Detroit, and there's 30, 40 people there. And then we have about 20 other remote. So we're used to like a 25% of the company being remote or 20%. Well, now it's all remote.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, stuff that is missed, especially if you're a team member. Like, when you contribute, you gotta, I think you can, I advise everyone to be way more active than passive, because people, you gotta like somehow stand up. You gotta somehow speak. Hey, this is what we're working on, or here are my ideas. I was reviewing emails this weekend. I was deleting emails from 2010 for my Benzinga inbox. I'm just, shedding a lot of different things. And I probably got rid of 1,000 emails, or probably 2,000 emails, or more than that, actually. Probably like 20,000 emails. I did like some auto filters, but the ones I read manually, it was interesting. The emails were from some interns, but there was just a few that would like always ping me with different ideas and things they were trying. And even if they were wrong on some of the stuff, it was just great. So I keep pressing on people to, not be passive, to not keep doing the same thing they're doing each day, but to bring new things to the table, to bring new ideas. Because in this digital world where we used to do physical events, but everything's digital right now, you can try so many things.
Yeah.
You can have so many experiences, make so many mistakes. Someone like we have a line, make better mistakes tomorrow. The biggest thing that would be the worst is to do nothing. Just to do nothing. I mean, yes, if it's a decision, it's a big one and it can be detrimental to the company, that's different. But most of these are experiments and things can build from it. I mean, and people just have to believe in themselves that they can do it. So we're doing, we do a Tuesday morning get together as a company. On Fridays, we do a get together as a company. The teams do something each day. We thought about doing a whole company wide every morning thing, like at 9 a.m. We haven't done that yet. But it's definitely different. There's, because if you're a bigger company and I don't know, and you have like a mortgage company and you can, how many calls per hour, how many this, it's all trackable, it's all accountable. When, some of that's for us, but like a lot of it is just, pushing to do different things, and it's hard to track some of that stuff. Yeah. So I guess, I don't know if that answers it, but
no, it does. One of the things I'm seeing in a lot of companies is they're creating these like brainstorming subgroups of like 2 or 3 people, keeping them intimate, and just to kind of just brainstorm, and it keeps them connected. They do it over video, and each kind of different group is tasked with something different just to kind of reinvent and stay innovative. Because I find that Benzinga is an innovative company, but through COVID, I think the companies that aren't innovative are realizing how non-innovative they have been, and are now trying to really kind of catch up and pick it up.
Yeah, and as you know, like ideas are good, but execution is everything.
Yeah.
So I think around the world, but in America, it's a society of starters, and sometimes not running through the finish line. So I'm really stressing running through the finish line before going to the next thing, because you could have the best idea ever, but if you don't get it out there, it doesn't matter. And even if you do get out there, then does someone find out about it? I mean, there's a lot of avenues. I mean, I have people, for venture wise, people pitch, different ideas, and they could be good ideas, and they could be built, and you can make the best investment tool in the world, but it's not a world where even if you make the best tool in the world, it's going to be discovered. It has to be, there has to be like a few different parts to the pie. And I think people are realizing that more. But that's part of it. I mean, that's where Benzinga is a cool thing, where someone has an idea, they can come here and launch it with us, or or build it here. And we have 5 million people that come to our site every month. So imagine that's, we have over 100,000 people. We've like 150,000, 200,000 people that come to our site every month. So if you think about in terms of a stadium, imagine you have Michigan Stadium plus another half of a stadium to 2 Michigan stadiums coming to your house every day, or coming to your place of business. So now what do you do with them? What do you do with that? Could you just, write content? Do you build other product? So if someone's looking to launch something and it's, complimentary, it's a good place where you have 100,000 or 200,000 coming. Now, don't get me wrong. Google probably has, 200 billion people coming, to their site, whatever. I mean, 200 billion like clicks, people, coming in, every month. So it's all relative, I guess.
Yeah, no, but that's important as far as what you're doing to provide that audience to keep them coming back. I mean, that's the goal, right? I mean, the goal of every company in America in the world is keep your clients coming back and give them a reason to come back.
Yeah, and so and that's where we have to do a better job of letting people know that they can get the gist of the content right away without, without interruptions, and get to the information. And then if they want to get other value from us, they can. We have a paid subscription product called Benzinga Pro, where it's real time. It's traders, investors throughout the day, communicating. There's a chat room in there with a few hundred people looking for ideas, and it's a highly engaging product. And that's where behind a paywall, and you're not getting all the noise. So that's another thing where the community is effective there.
Yeah. And so important to build community, especially right now, of like-minded people. It's critical. Tell everybody else about just the rest of Benzinga and any other, services that you guys offer and who your ideal clients are and audience.
Yeah. I mean, so Benzinga, at the end of the day, we provide information. That's our main business. We provide information, and we monetize in a few different ways. One of the big things we do is events. We did physical events. Now they're digital. But one of the big verticals we're in is cannabis. So we've helped many companies raise money, probably over $100 million, where they come to our events. We bring all these investors. And so we have a huge readership in the cannabis space, in the fintech space. Esports is a newer initiative. But if you're using Ameritrade or Yahoo Finance, you're using us in some way. If you're on, if you're looking to connect with investors, Benzinga has it. If you're looking like different events that we do, we have basics. We have a big event coming up, I think May 29th or 28th. It's the Benzinga Trading Boot Camp. It's from literally level 1 to level 10. It's an all-day event. You can find out about these, I think, at benzingaevents.com. The last one we had a couple thousand people in it, and we had about 20 trainers in there teaching the content.
Wow.
And that was focused entirely on options. This one is focused on getting into the investing and then the advanced markets, and we probably will have like 4,000 people there. And
all virtual,
all virtual. Yeah, that'll be at the end of this month. Bringing like the best of the best, different trainers to people you see on CNBC all the time. And our options one, we have many people from CNBC on it. And so it's we're trying to take advantage of digital to get people educated in this market, and not just the market for a lifetime. Like I never knew, if you own Apple stock for many years and you think it's going to go down or something, the average person to sell some shares, but there's better ways to do it where you don't get taxed, and you can use ETFs. And there's just those kinds of things that professionals know. I mean, if you were a professional basketball player, you would know way more strategies on how to dribble around a guy. It's the same thing in the stock market.
Yeah.
You're not going to spend 80 hours learning this thing. So have other people teach you some basic stuff. And I see it all the time. People are saying the greatest thing ever. I learned how to do that, and we're just trying to teach the elements of the different asset classes and not trying to talk down. I mean, Benzinga, one of the big reasons Benzinga was started was for the average Joe. It was started to level the playing field. And so we did that with real-time news. Instead of you having to use a $2,000 a month platform, we built a real-time news platform at Benzinga Pro. And now we're doing that with education, bringing that to the masses. So I mean,
wow.
that's
amazing. It's amazing what you built. Every time I talk to you, it's like a little mini master's class. So
right.
I mean, so tell me this in closing, what are you and your family doing for fun during COVID?
Playing different games. We download that app called Psych, PSYCH, where you have to like say an answer and then you have to guess who said it. It's a fun little game. I created my own pin the tail on the donkey game where they had put a blindfold on, which was a fun game. My daughter is loving that TikTok. You know, and hopefully to warm up and, you know, go swimming and stuff like that. But it's been cold, and just trying to stay sane, watching some movies. They watched Grown Ups yesterday.
Yes.
So, you know, it's we all go through the same things throughout our day. It's just, you know, utilizing the time wisely. Trying to read more with the time we have now and not driving. So I've been reading a couple books. So
What are you
just
reading?
can't even think of the guy. Well, it's actually right here. Where is it? I'll show you one of the books. Two of the books. Okay, one is autonomy book. This book is about autonomy, cars, all that stuff.
Oh, I bet that's, yeah.
And the other one I already read, but I had to read it again. It's by this guy Ashley Vance, who wrote about Elon Musk. Ashley Vance this is a book that I read already, but I had to read again. It's all about when he was like trying to get a rocket to space and what he had to go through. And I read it like 4 years ago, and from that day on, it's like the guy can't be stopped. I mean, what they didn't want, it was just, it's the craziest thing ever. The stuff he had to do to get a rocket launch because they didn't want him to have a rocket in the U.S. It's a whole thing, and they should have failed like many times. So that's why I'm a big believer in Tesla. But so I try to read a lot of nonfiction. I like to see biographies and stuff, read biographies and hear about trials and tribulations and how they overcame them. And Elon Musk definitely has a story like that for sure.
I love it. Jason, tell everybody how to get a hold of you or Benzinga.
You can follow me at Jason Raznick on Twitter, or at jason@benzinga.com is my email address. And, you know, if you have any ideas or things you want to talk about, feel free to reach out. And Benzinga is on Twitter at Benzinga or Benzinga Pro. We also have a newsletter platform called Marketfy, marketfy.com. So that's the ways to get a hold of me.
I love it. Jason, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Always full of knowledge, and keep on educating the world with great content. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Stay safe to you and your family and all your team.
Thank you for having me on, and I hope someone got at least one thing out of this.
They will.
All right. Thank you. Yep. Have a good day.